जय गिरिवराधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राम जय बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा जय राम माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राम यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरवनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण जय गांधर्वे का गिरधारी गांधर्वे का गिरिधारी गांधर्वे का गिरिधारी गौरहरि गांधर्वे का गिरि जय निताय गौर सुंदर जय निताय गौर सुंदर निताय गौर सुंदर जय निताय गौर सुंदर जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद युग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्या उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Canto 4, titled The Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 31, titled Narada Instructs the Prachetas, verse number 21. न भजति कुमनीश न भजति कुमनीषिणां स इज्जाम् हरिर् अधनात्मधन प्रियो रसज्ञः श्रुतधन कुलकर्मणां मदैर्ये विदधति पापम् अकिंचनेषु सत्सु। न भजति कुमनीषिणां स इज्जाम् हरिर् अधनात्मधन प्रियो रसज्ञः श्रुतधन कलकर्मणां मदैर्ये विदधति पापम् अकिंचनेषु सत्सु। न भजति कुमनीषिणां स इज्जाम् हरिर् अधनात्मधन प्रियो रसज्ञः श्रुतधन कुलकर्मणां मदैर्ये विदधति पापम् अकिंचनेषु सत्सु। न भजति कुमनीषिणां स इज्जाम् हरिरधनात्मधनप्रियो रसज्ञः श्रुतधनकुलकर्मणां मदैर्ये विदधति पापम् अकिंचनेषु सत्सु। कुमनीषिणां स इज्जाम् विदधति पापम् अकिंचनेषु सत्सु। न भजति कुमनीषिणां सयुज्यम् विदधति पापम् What? न भजति कुमनीषिणां सयुज्यम् हरिरधनात्मधनप्रियो रसज्ञः श्रुतधनकुलकर्मणां मदैर्ये विदधति पापमकिंचनेषु सत्सु. Whatever meanings, na, never, bhajati, accepts, ku manishinam, a person with a dirty heart, saha, he, ijam, offering, harihi, the Supreme Lord, adhana, to those who have no material possessions, atmadhana, simply dependent on the Lord, priyaha, who is dear, rasagnaha, who accepts the essence of life, shruta, education, dhana, wealth, kula, aristocracy, karmanam, and of fruitive activities, madaihi, by pride, ye, all those who, vidadhati, perform, papam, disgrace, akinchaneshu, without material possessions, satsu, unto the devotees. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions but are fully happy in possessing devotional service of the Lord. Indeed, the Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotees. Those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity are very proud of possessing material things, and they often deride the devotees. Even if such people offer the Lord worship, the Lord never accepts them. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is dependent on His pure devotees. He does not even accept the offering of those who are not devotees. A pure devotee is one who feels he does not possess anything material. A devotee is always happy in possessing the devotional service of the Lord. Devotees may sometimes appear materially poor, but because they are spiritually advanced and enriched, they are most dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such devotees are free from attachment to family, society, friendship, children, and so on. They abandon affection for all these material possessions and are always happy in possessing the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead understands the position of his devotee. If a person derides a pure devotee, he is never recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, the Supreme Lord never excuses one who offends a pure devotee. There are many examples of this in history. A great mystic yogi, Durvasa Muni, offended a great devotee, Ambarish Maharaj. The great sage Durvasa was chastised by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord. Even though the great mystic directly approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was never excused. Those on the path of liberation should be very careful not to offend a pure devotee. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वत देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम। हरि ओम तत्सत। Hare Krishna. Translation once again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions but are fully happy in possessing devotional service of the Lord. Indeed, the Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotees. Those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity, those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity are very proud of possessing material things, and they often deride the devotees. Even if such people offer the Lord worship, the Lord never accepts them. So, in today's verse, just as I was reading it, one of the Vaishnav bhajans came to my mind, so I'm just pulling it out. Yes. So, today's verse is a very, very nice verse. In the previous verse, the intimacy between the Lord and the devotee is being talked about. The previous verse talks how intimate the Lord and the devotee are by saying that by being completely cleansed of all material desires, the devotees are freed from all contamination. Thus, they can always think of the Lord and address Him very feelingly. Somebody who is always thinking of a particular personality, that person will grow in the image of that particular person and then will rise in love with that person. It also depends whether you'll fall in love with that person or rise in love with it, depending with whom you have decided to invest your loving capacity in. If we decide to invest our loving capacity in some material personality attracted by their opulences or any other material quality, then we are sure to fall in love with that person. But when we invest our loving capacity in Uttama Shloka, Lord Krishna, who is beyond the modes of material nature, beyond his adhokshaja, beyond the perception of our senses, and he is our best well wisher, and he knows what is good for us and what is bad for us, truly speaking. So, when we invest our loving capacity in that person who actually deserves our love, whom we are actually supposed to love, then we rise in love with that person. So, here this description is of a devotee who is rising in love with Krishna by always thinking of Krishna, and then because of that, he gets the mercy of Krishna. And because of that mercy, he is able to develop some spiritual feelings for Krishna, and therefore is able to address him very feelingly. Only such a person can sincerely say Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Others cannot say this. And then, how much is the kind of intimacy when Krishna receives this kind of intimacy from the devotee, when this kind of bhava from the devotee, then what does he do? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing himself to be controlled by his devotees, Krishna thinks that I'm controlled by him. If this, if my mother will not give me, if my mother will not protect me, I will be dying out of hunger. Like that, Krishna starts thinking. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing himself to be controlled by his devotees, does not leave them for a second. Now imagine another personality who is all powerful and he is a constant companion of someone. We cannot imagine such things, but we can just put ourselves in place of that we are constantly following someone, constantly observing someone. We know each and everything which they are doing. That means we are also equally possessive and equally obsessed about that person, and there must be something very great in that person that we have chosen to give up everything else and simply follow that person for 24 hours a day. That is what Krishna is doing. He becomes so much attracted by his devotee when he becomes freed of mental contamination and material desires, and starts, when the devotee starts constantly thinking of Krishna, so Krishna becomes so much attached and attracted to such a devotee that he always stays with that devotee and does not leave them even for a second, just as the sky overhead never becomes invisible. For example, wherever you go, when you see up in the sky is always there. Similarly, Krishna is always there for such a devotee. In one of the calendar quotes, Srila Prabhupada says that if you think 24 hours about Krishna, then Krishna will think 26 hours about you. And he's more concerned about you, more worried about you, and more thoughtful about you. So in the Mahabharata, there is a very nice pastime which helps us to understand how much Krishna is thinking about his devotees. So there is this incident where Duryodhana becomes frustrated with the parental affection which Bhishma was showing for the Pandavas, with a vow that I will never kill the Pandavas. He was trying to fight with the Pandavas. So he became frustrated, saying that like this, I will never win this war. You are so much favorable to them. You better resign. So Bhishma said, okay, I'll do something tomorrow. And then he sat down in his meditation, and then by the power of his mystic meditation, he produced 5 arrows. He said that save these 5 arrows. With these 5 arrows, I'm going to kill the Pandavas tomorrow. So the news spread. Duryodhana kept it with him, and the news spread everywhere. What to do, what to do. And then Bhishma had taken a vow that I'm going to kill the Pandavas tomorrow. So Krishna, being Sarvagnya, he went to the Pandavas, especially to the Arjunas. Arjuna used to sleep on the same bed as Krishna. So he went to his room and saw Arjuna sleeping. So he woke up Arjuna and he told that Bhishma has taken a vow to kill all the 5 brothers tomorrow, and he has produced some special arrows. This is the news. So Arjuna opened one of his eyes and he heard this and he said, "Theek hai, no problem, you are there now," and he went back to sleep. And then Krishna was so much worried, he was constantly walking, just like a tiger walks in a cage restlessly. So he was constantly restlessly walking in that room, thinking what to do. Although Arjuna was least bothered about the circumstances and he left everything on Krishna, Krishna loved this reaction of Arjuna. So therefore he made some plan. He took Draupadi with him and then went to the room of Bhishma. He stood out, he sent Draupadi in, and then he told Draupadi that you go and touch the feet of Bhishma and then he will bless you. Saubhagyavati bhava. And in that way, he will have to choose between his vow or between his blessing. And being an elderly personality, he'll always choose his blessing. And then he made another plan. He again woke up Arjuna. Arjuna scolded Krishna, I told you not to wake me up. But then he said, no, no, this is essential. You have to go and ask Duryodhana to give you his 5 arrows, because when you saved him earlier in a particular battle, he gave you a benediction that in future, whatever you will ask, I'll give you. So in this way, Krishna solved the situation. But the point, these are details. The point which is most important here is that when a devotee becomes dependent on Krishna, in today's verse, such devotees are called as Atmadhana, who are very happy possessing only devotional service of Krishna. Krishna likes that. Krishna wants that. Krishna demands it. He's telling again and again through his pastimes that why are you dependent on your strength? Why are you dependent on your family? Why are you dependent on your education? What are the 4 things? Shruta Dhana Kula Karmanam. Education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activities. Why are you dependent on them? Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam. Just become dependent on me. Give up everything. And then I'll take care of everything. You cannot take care of everything. That's what Krishna is trying to say. So in the previous verse, we read about the intimacy of the devotee and the Lord. And in today's verse, we are talking about when a particular soul becomes intimate with the Lord, and when the Lord becomes extremely, insanely, hopelessly possessive with that devotee, then how does the Lord reciprocate? That is, the Lord's reciprocation towards his devotees and also towards those who offend his devotees or those who are not his devotees is spoken in this verse. So in this verse, he says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions, adhana, but are fully happy in possessing the devotional service of the Lord, that is atmadhana. So the Supreme Lord accepts the worships of 2 kinds of people, those who are adhana and those who are atmadhana. Adhana means those who have no material possessions, or also it can mean those who consider, those who are neither attracted or repelled by material possessions, they are called as adhana. Some people are artificial adhana. Oh, so much money will make me careless in Krishna consciousness. I give it up. Therefore, I'm repelled by the dhana. So they do not exactly fit into the qualification of adhana. Similarly, some people are too much attracted by the dhana. They always want to have some crores in their bank account. Then only they'll feel like I can chant Hare Krishna feelingly. So they also do not fall in the category of adhana. So adhana means one who is neither attracted by nor repelled by material possessions. Such a personality is called akinchana. He may have the whole world in his possession, like Parikshit Maharaj, but he thinks that my only possession is the 2 lotus feet of Krishna. Such a personality is called adhana. Adhana does not necessarily mean poor. It means a person who thinks that other than the lotus feet of Krishna, I don't possess anything. So therefore, nothing belongs to me. That's the meaning of adhana. And atmadhana means those who are simply dependent on the Lord, or those who are very happy possessing Lord's devotional service. This is another category of devotees. All they want is Krishna consciousness. They want nothing else. Whether they have money, don't have money, don't care. Whether they have education, no education, don't care. But they really hanker for the association of devotees. The word Atma here means Krishna, because Krishna is the original Atma. And Atma Dhana means one who is rich with Krishna, one who has Krishna. So one who has Krishna, he needs nothing else. So therefore they are very happy possessing Krishna, and then Susukham Kartum Aprayam. They very happily practice Krishna consciousness. And then when somebody is in this category of Adhana and Atma Dhana, when such people do something, even if they do anything, somehow the Lord likes it very much. The Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotee. He wants to see what is my devotee doing. What is he eating? What is he working with? What is he thinking about? Krishna wants to know. And he relishes it. There are so many pastimes which talk about how much Krishna relishes his devotees. Once, today all Mahabharata pastimes are coming, once Yudhishthir entered the room of Lord Krishna, And then he saw early in the morning, Lord Krishna was sitting like this and he was meditating. Yudhishthir broke his meditation and he asked him that you are the supreme personality of Godhead. Whom are you? Why are you meditating and whom are you meditating upon? Who is more superior to you? So Lord Krishna said that I am meditating on my devotees. My devotees are meditating on me and I am reciprocating by meditating on them. I am meditating on my devotees like Bhishma. I am meditating on my devotees like Kunti. I am meditating on my devotees like yourself, Arjuna, like that he answered. So that is what Krishna likes to do. So when somebody becomes Atma Dhana, Krishna becomes their Dhana, and he likes to completely meditate upon them. That means he's carefully monitoring what they are doing, how they are doing, and he's relishing the glory of Krishna consciousness, which is in them, in his devotees. The heart which his devotees have, which is only for him, he relishes that. On the contrary, those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity are very proud of material things. So, those who are starving spiritually, those who are frustrated finding happiness within themselves. Why? Because their senses are not controlled, they are not satisfied in life, and they are not merciful to others. That's what one of the previous verses told. Dayaya sarvabhuteshu santushtya yena kena va sarvendriyo pashantya cha tushyatya ashu janardana. It says by showing mercy to all living entities, being somehow satisfied or being somehow or the other satisfied and controlling the senses from sense enjoyment, one can very quickly satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead Janardana. So those who don't do these three things, they are spiritually starving. They are not able to be happy in life, but they want to be happy. So what they do, they start looking outside themselves. So when they start looking outside themselves, they think this Shruta, Dhana, Kula, Karmanam can make me happy. This material education can make me happy. Why material education can make you happy? Because you study so much, so much, so much, so that one day you can earn so much, so much, so much, so that you can do so much sense gratification, so much sense gratification, so much sense gratification, so that you can have more honey, more honey, more honey. That is the purpose of material education. There is no scope of existence of material education without honey. So therefore, material education is only valid in this material. Nobody in the Vaikuntha craves for this material education. Similarly, wealth, they think if I have wealth, I'll be happy. Aristocracy. Okay, I have been a failure at material education. Wealth somehow, Lakshmi is sensible, not my fault. So then, I'm born in a very nice family, aristocracy. Just because my father has established this village, so everybody should respect me. I'm Raja Babu. You cannot do anything without asking me. That's another kind of, the Bhagavatam says this is mother. This is one kind of anartha, which is there in the heart of a conditioned soul. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, mother. Mother means madness, some kind of deep illusion. Mother basically means not being humble. Not knowing your original constitutional position, not knowing where you are, in how much water you are, where you stand. That is called as mother. Artificially thinking, just like imagine if a beggar is standing in front of the Leela Palace and starts thinking, this is my house. That is called mother. And that is the natural constitutional position of every conditioned soul in this material world. They are simply in mother. And then death comes and strikes off their mother. And then when they are residing in their subtle body, they are very much repentant of that, why they carried that mother for a lifetime. That's why in front of Yamaraj, nobody rebels. If somebody tells here, even if the spiritual master sometimes tells a disciple who is in mother that you are wrong, they will rebel. How can you say like this? You cannot, how can you scold me like this? You did not consider how much individual, spontaneously, voluntary sacrifice I did for you. Let me separate from you. But this is called mother. But when you die, this mother strikes off, goes off from you. So therefore, when you're standing in front of Yamaraj, when Yamaraj says, you rascal, you disobeyed your spiritual master, You will not say anything at that time. This mother again comes when you again get another body. Then again you start thinking, oh, I'm an amoeba. How can the next amoeba come close to me? So therefore, let's strike that amoeba off like that. So that's the problem with the Shruta Dhana Kula Karmanam mother. These things will give you mother. And when you have this mother puffed up with material education, because you're not able to be happy internally, so you look for happiness externally. And because you're looking for happiness externally, but internally you're still starving, it's not making you happy. So you tend to be very angry with those people who are actually happy from within. So therefore, you try to offend them, the devotees. How come they are happy? I'm not. I possess this material education. I possess this wealth. I possess this aristocracy. I possess this fruitive activity, thinking that will make me happy. Anyways, I have no spiritual consciousness. But look at me. I'm not happy. How are these people happy? Let me just strike them off. Let me just put them in jail. Let me just offend them. Maybe when I'll beat them up nicely, I'll become happy. That is what they are insanely looking for happiness. The spirit soul is Anandamaya Abhyasat. It's used to, it is supposed to be always happy, but because of wrong association, when the spirit soul starts looking for happiness in the wrong places, such as Shrutadhana Kula Karmanam, then they start offending the devotees. And therefore, Bhagavatam says that they were proud of possessing material things and they often deride the devotees. So when such people, even if they carry very nice paraphernalia, and they offer to the Lord, even if they do some worship, Krishna never accepts it. Why? Because they have offended his devotees. So that is the basic summary of today's verse. Now, when we get into the purport, we find more details. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead is dependent on his pure devotees. He does not even accept the offerings of those devotees who are not the devotees, who are not devotees. A pure devotee is one who feels that he does not possess anything material. A devotee is always happy in possessing the devotional service of the Lord. Now, devotees may sometimes appear materially poor, but because they are spiritually advanced and enriched, they are most dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, at this point of time, there are some nice verses in the Bhagavatam. Before that, there is the verse of Rupa Goswami also. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjitah nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya uchyate. So, Rupa Goswami is saying that one must be an akinchana. That means the exact definition of this verse is when one is not attached to anything, anasaktasya vishayan, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, yatharham upayunjita, nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, yuktam vairagya uchyate, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. So this is the qualification of adhana. So from this perspective, we have to understand that Krishna may give unlimited wealth and opulence to his devotee when he sees that his devotee is neither repelled by it or attracted by it. But he may immediately take away everything from his devotee if he sees that it is a disturbance to his or her devotion. So that is the dealing which Krishna does. So in the 10th canto, there are some nice verses which talk about this. 10th canto, 88th chapter, shloka number 8. Yasyaham anugranami harishyai tad dhanam shanaihi tato dhanam tejantyasya swajana dukkha dukkhitam. The personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. And that's not all. When he becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money and instead befriends my devotees, I bestow my special mercy upon him. And the purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes, if such a man again tries to earn money, the Supreme Lord mercifully again frustrates him so that he has no other option. I think Prabhupada wrote, I don't know. So, personal experiences also matter a lot. Prabhupada wrote that. Many times he tried to bring up his business, but Krishna was again beating. He said that I had my plans, Krishna had his plans. So, and later on in the 10th verse of that chapter, it said, a person who has thus become sober fully realizes the absolute as the highest truth, the most subtle and the perfect manifestation of spirit, the transcendental existence without end. In this way, realizing the supreme truth is the foundation of his own existence. He is freed from the cycle of material life. So Krishna does this. If his devotee is in the adhana category, he's in the yukta vairagya category. And if he has the atmadhana, that means he is happy possessing devotional service of Krishna, then Krishna will give him unlimited material opulence and wealth. The best example is Srila Prabhupada when he was in the West. When he went there, he had just 40 rupees, and that is almost practically adhana category. He really had no one to look upon. He really had no one to depend upon. But he had the holy name of the Lord. So therefore, he was adhana. At the same time, he was atmadhana because he was very happy chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Very recently, one of my friends, he went to that park and he went to that tree which is called as the Hare Krishna tree, and Srila Prabhupada had chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as a kirtan activity. And he was telling me that even now, very dangerous looking, at least dangerous looking, hippies and drug addicts are wandering around in that park. And then the devotees of that area tell that this is less from what it was during the counterculture days in the 1970s. And my friend, he tried to approach one of them. That drug addict was so much in sleep mad like state that he almost hit him with his leg. And then my friend ran away. And then he realized the potency of Srila Prabhupada. And the devotees are saying this is much less. The people here who are sleeping around, sitting around here, they are not as crazy as what they were in the 1965, 66, 67 time. And the number is also quite less. So then he was sharing with me that now I'm realizing what Prabhupada has done. So therefore, I sincerely feel that every devotee should go to the West once to fully realize what the founder Acharya has done. Because we think that, at least I think that I am a great preacher. Whomever I touch, that person listens to the sublime truth coming out of my mouth, and the same Paramatma which is there in my heart will ask the Paramatma in his heart to accept the truth, and then either in this lifetime or the next lifetime he'll surrender to Krishna, and it all starts from me as an instrument of Krishna. I think like this. But when I will go to the West to this kind of parks, the Tompkins Square Park, under the Hare Krishna tree, probably I'll forget about Krishna consciousness only, the kind of treatment I'll get. And in such circumstances, our adhana and atmadhana founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada has preached and has created a world's revolution. And because he was neither attracted by material wealth nor he was repelling the material wealth, so Krishna gave him unlimited wealth. So many people, they say that if you hear the story of Srila Prabhupada, you will not believe it. From 40 rupees to an empire of 100 and 200, 300 crores in that times. It's an unbelievable story. It's like not even a rags to riches story. It is a rags to some heaven kind of a story. There's no word for it. We have never seen any person who has done this kind of a business. So that is possible by the mercy of Krishna. But at the same time, if Krishna sees that this material opulence, wealth, kula, aristocracy, and education is disturbing the devotion of his or her devotee, then he takes everything. At this point of time, I'm remembering the prayer of Maharaj Yudhishthir to Lord Krishna. So all their life, Pandavas, being malleable instruments in the hands of Krishna, were going through a lot of struggle. Personalities like Bhishma could not even understand what's going on. They simply kept crying that this is beyond, this is not even the laws of karma. Nobody is more spiritually pious than the Pandavas, but why they are suffering? They are sinless, but they are suffering. So at one point of time, Yudhishthir Maharaj became afraid. He thought that if we continue to suffer like this, then probably nobody will do bhakti in future. So when he was doing the Rajasuya Yagya, he prayed to Krishna that, my dear Lord, whatever you do with us, we are fine. But for some time, give me this opulence so that people in the world and in the higher planetary systems will come encouraged to do bhakti. They should see that your devotees are very rich. So then we read that chapter in Krishna book that when he did that Rajasuya Yagya, so even the demigods used to come, and Duryodhana also came, and the description is so divine that that led to Mahabharata. Duryodhana became so envious. It is said that Varuna came out of the sea and he brought a special conch shell, and then he bathed Yudhishthir with that water. And but Duryodhana, when he saw that, he's like, "I'm happy. That's all. I cannot see anything more." So because Yudhishthir prayed like that, so the entire world became encouraged that if we worship Krishna, if we serve Krishna, Krishna will take care of everything. We will not die starving. And at the same time, Duryodhana became envious and the accelerated the Mahabharata. So the prayers of pure devotees are very powerful. They can lead to purification very fast. So that is the point which I'm trying to convey. That yasyaham anugranami harishyaitad dhanam shri. Krishna will take away if he sees it's a problem, and if he sees if it is necessary, he will give also. And then later on, he says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead understands the position of his devotee. So whatever sentiments a devotee may have, the Supreme Personality of Godhead understands it. For example, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he had some sentiments for Krishna. Externally, he did not look like an adhana. So much so that Gadadhar Pandit got confused. But Krishna understood his feelings. So therefore, he was always with him. Every time when a devotee, when he chants Hare Krishna and when he feels sheltered, it is mercy of Krishna. Every time when a devotee reads Srimad Bhagavatam and they relish it and get immersed in it, it is mercy of Krishna. So every time when a devotee like Pundarik Vidyanidhi gets into the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness while hearing the name, form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna, that is mercy of Krishna. So that is how Krishna is there all the time with his devotees. He really wants to serve them and make them happy by giving them his remembrance. Not just at the time of death, but throughout the life. So that is the meaning of this line, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead understands the position of his devotee. Even if the whole world misunderstands a devotee, Krishna will understand you. So therefore, our job is to serve Krishna and please Krishna and not worry about what the world thinks or what my neighbor thinks, etc. If a person derides the pure devotee, he is never recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, the Supreme Lord never excuses one who offends a pure devotee. So then, Prabhupada is giving the example of Ambrish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. So Ambrish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni pastime we all know. And Krishna has set a great example by saying that no matter what is your excuse, no matter which varna or ashrama you belong to, no matter which kind of cadre, Durvasa Muni is extremely senior to, at least in terms of birth and this kula karmana, everything, Shutadhana kula karmana. In all these four ways, he is extremely senior. He's like ages seen, probably he's one or two yugas senior to Ambrish Maharaj, Durvasa Muni. And he is also Sakyavesh incarnation of Krishna, Durvasa Muni. But still, he made this mistake of offending a pure devotee. So he had to pay for it. He had to literally fall down at the lotus feet of Ambrish Maharaj, and Ambrish Maharaj, by the power of his devotion, he could stop Sudarshan Chakra also, and then Durvasa Muni was saved in that way. So we heard that pastime. So Krishna is okay if you offend him, and beg forgiveness. But if you offend a pure devotee, there is no scope. There are many instances in Chaitanya Charitamrita where a person has offended the pure devotees of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya has been very strict with them, scolded them, left them in a destitute condition. And then ultimately, when they have begged forgiveness from that devotee, only then Lord Chaitanya has shown some mercy to them. But there are remnants. When we read Bhagavatam, we understand that the Vaishnava Aparadh is like a liquor contained in a pot. No matter how much you wash the pot, the smell of liquor still remains. We see the example of Daksha. He committed a Vaishnava Aparadh against Lord Shiva. Although he begged forgiveness from Lord Shiva, although Lord Shiva being Ashutosh, forgave him, but the remnants of that Vaishnava Aparadh remained in his next lifetime also, so much so that he committed offense against Narad Muni. So Vaishnava Aparadh is very serious. Even if it depends how seriously Krishna has taken it. Now, when the Dushasan offended Draupadi, Krishna took it very, very seriously. Although Draupadi, being a simple-hearted lady, a simple woman with sublime devotion, was ready to forgive people like Ashwathama. Probably if Dushasan would have also come and begged for it, she would have forgiven him also. But Krishna was in no mood to forgive them. So therefore, if we really are serious in progressing in the path of Krishna consciousness, then one should be very, very careful not offending pure devotees of the Lord. In fact, not offending anybody for that matter. Sometimes we think, okay, if he is wearing a tilak and a kanthi mala, he's a devotee, so I should not offend him. And if somebody is not wearing a kanthi mala and a tilak, oh, he's not a devotee, let me take my liberty. Krishna has given me the service to purify them. But then that is also dangerous. Suruchi, she offended Dhruva when he was not a devotee. And later on, when he became a devotee, Suruchi and her son Uttama, they got the results of that. It is very, very dangerous. If somebody is not a devotee and later on if they become a devotee, that time Krishna will say, oh, in the past someone offended you, my dear, I'll take care. So therefore, it is safe to have this habit that whether somebody is a devotee or not a devotee, let's not offend anybody. Let's be respectful. And when we cultivate this habit of being respectful, then naturally we'll not feel like offending anybody, be it a devotee or not a devotee. So, so I would like to end today's discussion with a small observation, which I have, which may be in line with the next verse. So just like devotees have a lot of possessiveness for the Lord also has so much possessiveness for his devotees. Just like devotees are completely dependent on the Lord, so similarly the Lord also likes to become completely dependent on his devotees. There is a very nice word in the next verse. Swapurna. The Lord is Swapurna, complete in himself. So this Swapurna Lord likes to become dependent on his devotees. In fact, Srila Prabhupada says that this is the most important and most excellent aspect of the self-sufficiency of the Lord, that he becomes dependent on his devotees. This proves that Krishna is Rasraj. He is relishing his Swapurna nature so much that he becomes completely dependent on his devotees for everything which he wants. So that is super excellence quality of Krishna. So on that note, I would like to conclude today's discussion. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।